Tiffany Henyard actually has two political jobs on two public payrolls. As mayor of South Suburban Dolton, or as she calls herself, super mayor.
Dawn and Scott, the meeting wrapped up early because two trustees, as you mentioned, did not show up. Chris Gonzalez and Carmen Carlisle. Without them, not enough board members were present to make official.
It's hard to think of a politician surrounded by more controversy than Tiffany Henyard, the troubled mayor of Dolton, Illinois. She's been involved in everything from corruption claims to eviction scandals, causing constant drama in the small village she leads. Now, things have gotten even more serious. The FBI is investigating her for corruption, shocking many residents. And this may only be the start of her newest troubles.
They'll turn up more and more information. They'll turn up more leads. They may turn up more witnesses. They may find a cooperator. They may find an informant, all which will benefit the investigation tremendously.
But based on what we know now, if you're Tiffany Henyard, how are you feeling?
I would be nervous.
The most shocking news so far is that Tiffany Henyard, who once called herself the super mayor, is now accused of embezzling millions in public funds. According to the FBI, she was involved in a planned scheme to move taxpayer money into personal accounts and spend it without approval. Sources say the amount could be close to $2 million, a huge loss for a small village like Dolton, which is already facing serious financial problems. Many residents, already frustrated with years of questionable leadership, were stunned by the scale of the alleged theft. One official, speaking anonymously, called it a major betrayal of public trust and described it as outright theft, not just poor management. These accusations come at a time when Dolton's finances were already under the microscope. A recent financial report showed the village's general fund dropped from a $5 million surplus in 2022 to a nearly $4 million deficit by mid-2024. Henyard has faced criticism for reckless spending before, but these new claims have pushed public anger to a new level. One resident put it plainly at a meeting: she's supposed to be fixing the streets, not lining her pockets. As outrage grows, more people are demanding her resignation and calling for an end to what they're now calling the Henyard era of corruption.
I've been here since 1993, and she's the best we ever had.
You know, you're doing a lot of programs, good programs for the senior citizens, and you're doing a lot of programs for, people who are on a fixed budget. But what about the people, the blue-collar people who are still carrying?
The timing couldn't be worse for Tiffany Henyard. Just as serious allegations are piling up against her, she's announced she's running for re-election. That's right. Despite being at the center of multiple scandals, Henyard says she wants another term as mayor. But instead of gaining support, her announcement has only made critics angrier. She has the nerve to ask for our votes while stealing from us, one Dolton resident said at a heated town hall meeting. Many have called her decision tone-deaf, and some even called it delusional. To make things worse, Henyard is also dealing with personal financial troubles. Even though she earns a six-figure salary from her roles as both Dolton mayor and Thornton Township supervisor, she's now facing an eviction lawsuit. Court documents show that she and her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, stopped paying rent on their Dolton home back in August. Their landlord, Janetta Hull, says they owe thousands in unpaid rent and late fees. Hull also claims they changed the locks on the house to keep her out. "I have nowhere else to turn," Hull said in a recent interview, adding that she's worried she might lose the property to foreclosure because of the unpaid rent.
A misspending of tax funds, I think that's the biggest.
The details of Tiffany Henyard's eviction case have only added to the outrage from her critics. Janetta Hull, her landlord and former friend, said she agreed to rent the home to Henyard in 2021 after being pressured to cancel a lease with another tenant. At the time, Hull believed Henyard would be a reliable renter due to her public role and high income. But that trust was misplaced. When Hull raised the rent by just $200 earlier this year to cover property taxes, Henyard's boyfriend, Kamal Woods, reportedly said they couldn't afford it. After that, the rent payments stopped entirely, leaving Hull struggling to pay her own bills. For someone making over $300,000 a year, this is unacceptable, Hull said. She's supposed to be a leader, but she doesn't even pay her bills. Many in Dolton share Hull's frustration. Residents are tired of Henyard's behavior, from extravagant taxpayer-funded parties to ongoing allegations of mismanagement. One of the most shocking examples came earlier this year when it was revealed she had spent over $33,000 on Amazon using the village's credit card, buying everything from decorations to what officials called unnecessary luxury items. She's acting like the village is her personal piggy bank. One trustee said during a public hearing.
I do not handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No comment.
It's not just the financial scandals that have people upset. Tiffany Henyard's behavior at public meetings has also caused a lot of concern. Over the past year, her clashes with Dolton trustees have become infamous, with meetings often turning into shouting matches and even walkouts. In one extreme case, Henyard called the police on workers who were taking down banners featuring her face. The banners, which labeled her the super mayor, had been put up without board approval. The vendor who made them claimed the village still owed nearly $20,000. When trustees ordered the banners to be removed, Henyard told police to arrest the workers, calling it theft of government property. Video from the scene shows her telling officers, "Press charges on them if you have to. Nobody messes with my property." Things got worse when Henyard appointed a new police chief, Ronald Burge, without getting the board's approval. It was soon discovered that Burge wasn't even legally qualified for the job. State law enforcement records listed him as inactive. Despite this, Henyard refused to remove him. The Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board even sent her a letter urging her to take him out of the role, but she ignored it. Instead, she accused the trustees of trying to undermine her authority, creating yet another political standoff.
Yep, Ray and Mike, Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard wanted the Board of Trustees to approve some events that she wants the township to pay for, but none of the trustees showed up for this special meeting tonight. That left the meeting canceled and Henyard with the floor.
The ongoing power struggles in Dolton have left the village in a state of gridlock. Meetings are often canceled because not enough officials show up and important decisions are delayed due to constant legal battles. Residents are growing more and more frustrated. Nothing gets done because it's all about her, one person said at a recent town hall. We're paying for her ego while our streets fall apart and our schools suffer on top of everything else. Henyard has been accused of trying to silence her critics through intimidation. In a now infamous 90-minute Facebook Live rant, she threatened to have her political opponents arrested, claiming they were behind a smear campaign. "I will be seeking arrest for individuals involved," she said during the broadcast. "I will be pressing charges." And that's just a little bit. The video went viral and sparked backlash, with many calling it another example of her unstable behavior. "She's lost touch with reality," one resident said. "Who threatens to arrest people just for disagreeing with them? This isn't a dictatorship."
We've been reporting for nearly 2 years on allegations of corruption surrounding Henyard in her capacity as Dolton mayor and Thornton Township supervisor. And now we've learned from multiple sources that federal agents are in fact interviewing witnesses as part of a possible investigation that may or may not result in charge.
The FBI's ongoing investigation into Tiffany Henyard's administration has only made things more tense. Federal agents have reportedly subpoenaed financial records from both Dolton and Thornton Township, along with documents connected to Henyard's personal spending. Although no charges have been filed yet, sources close to the investigation believe it's only a matter of time. Despite growing pressure, Henyard remains defiant. In a recent statement, she dismissed the allegations as politically motivated and claimed they were part of a smear campaign by opponents jealous of her success. "I've done nothing wrong," she said. She even compared herself to former President Donald Trump, saying she would win re-election in a landslide despite the controversies. "Just like Trump, I'm coming in strong," she told the public. "The people know the truth, and they will stand by me."
That's right, John and Terrence. Tonight's meeting had a much different tone than what we've experienced previously at Dolton City Council meetings. Now, the room was full of Henyard supporters, and they wanted me to be sure to tell you that they applauded for her several times as she talked about the township being in a great place financially. Thornton Township Supervisor
UT, will the people of Dolton stand by her? For many, the answer is a clear no. Residents are tired of what they see as a constant stream of drama, and calls for Tiffany Henyard's resignation are growing louder every day. As the scandals continue, from the eviction lawsuit to the FBI investigation and the rising backlash from the community, one thing is certain: Henyard isn't backing down without a fight. She seems determined to stay in power no matter what. But with so many controversies stacking up, even some of her strongest supporters are beginning to have doubts. And with the next election just a few months away, the people of Dolton will soon have their chance to decide. Will Henyard's bold prediction of a re-election landslide come true? Or will her scandals finally catch up to her? Only time will tell.
If the board do not show up, we are not able to pay bills. We are not able to handle the business.
Interview 9. Tiffany Henyard's rise to power wasn't just political. It was strategic and carefully planned. Many believe it was built on manipulation, hidden behind charm and polished campaign slogans. While she promised progress, the real story is more complicated. Henyard used every tool she could to climb to the top. For those who have closely followed her career, her current legal and political troubles don't come as a surprise. To them, it feels like the natural result of years of unchecked ambition.
Very disturbing to hear these things or to kind of see some of the receipts that appear to be connected to it. And I think the taxpayers really deserve better than that.
Interview 10. Tiffany Henyard's journey into politics started with big promises and a carefully built image as a champion for everyday people. She presented herself as a fresh leader who could bring new energy and ideas to Dolton and Thornton Township. But her critics say her rise was more about gaining power than helping the community. From the very beginning, her goal was clear. Control Point, one of her earliest and most controversial moves, was her approach to appointments. Henyard quickly realized that putting loyal supporters in important positions would strengthen her hold on local government. She began replacing people who might challenge her with those who would back her decisions and protect her from being held responsible. This wasn't just about filling jobs, it was about building a shield around herself. Trustees, department heads, and even law enforcement officials were carefully chosen to be loyal to Henyard, not to the public they were supposed to serve.
Gardner says he's been harassed and his business raided and shut down by Dolton police. He believes because he refused to make a donation to a civic event sponsored by Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
And I talked to a couple of agents and I explained them what was going on. I gave them all my paperwork.
Interview 11. Nowhere was this clearer than in Tiffany Henyard's control over the Dolton Police Department. Early on, she made it obvious she wanted full control of law enforcement in the village, which later became one of the most criticized parts of her administration. She appointed several police chiefs, each more controversial than the last. The most recent, Ronald Burge, caused outrage, not just because of his questionable qualifications, but because Henyard ignored the usual rules to make the appointment. Burge's law enforcement certification had expired, but Henyard handpicked him anyway, despite protests from trustees and state officials. Critics said his appointment was less about his ability to lead and more about his loyalty to Henyard. This focus on loyalty over skill wasn't just in the police department. Henyard's former assistant, Carmen Carlisle, who once worked closely with her, became one of her strongest critics. Carlisle described working for Henyard as chaotic and said the mayor demanded total loyalty from her staff, even if it meant crossing ethical lines. It wasn't about what was best for the residents, Carlisle said in an interview. It was about what was best for her. If you didn't fall in line, you were out.
Show up to your scheduled board meetings. I don't care if you agree or disagree, but you must show up to say yes or no, or vote present, but show up.
Tiffany Henyard's need for control and loyalty caused many clashes with the Dolton Board of Trustees. The trustees, whose job is to oversee the mayor and make sure her decisions benefit the community, often found themselves in conflict with Henyard. Meetings frequently turned into shouting matches, with Henyard accusing the trustees of blocking her plans and the trustees accusing her of going beyond her authority. The tension reached a breaking point earlier this year when Henyard sued several trustees, claiming they were holding meetings illegally without her. The trustees fired back, saying Henyard was trying to stop them from doing their job and holding her accountable. One of the most dramatic moments in this ongoing fight happened during a public meeting. Henyard arrived late, but then stormed out after being jeered by angry residents. The meeting had been moved to a larger space after the Illinois Attorney General ruled the usual venue broke open meeting laws. The room was full of people eager to share their frustrations. As Henyard tried to take control, she was met with boos and shouting. "This is an embarrassment to Dolton," one resident said. Why won't you step down? Henyard, clearly frustrated, blamed the trustees for causing the chaos and promised to keep fighting for her.
Advisor, Tiffany Henyard.
Were there any questions that you have at all?
No, right now I'm going to give her a chance.
And this meeting comes one day after Fox 32's Dane Placco exposed what some are calling misappropriation of funds after traveling to Washington, D.C. in January for a U.S. conference of mayors, according to credit card records obtained.
Even as Tiffany Henyard fights to hold on to power, problems in her administration are becoming impossible to ignore. The financial scandals alone have made many people doubt her ability to lead. Besides the embezzlement claims, there are many examples of reckless spending that seem more about boosting Henyard's image than helping the community. One shocking example is the $33,000 she spent on Amazon using the village's credit card. While some items were for village events, the lack of transparency has raised serious concerns. Trustees have called for an independent audit of the village's finances, but Henyard has resisted, which has only made people more suspicious. On top of all this, her re-election campaign has been criticized as tone-deaf given the village's struggles. Even some of her former supporters are confused by her decision to run again, saying she should focus on fixing Dolton's problems instead of campaigning. Her slogan, "Fighting for the People," has been met with doubt, as many residents wonder who she is really fighting for.
We've learned the FBI has been using electronic surveillance as part of its investigation. Agents are asking questions about Henyard's alleged use of taxpayer dollars and resources, including massive spending on out-of-town trips.
Interview 14. Tiffany Henyard's opponents have quickly used her scandals against her. Jason House, who is running against her in the upcoming election, has made himself the anti-Henyard candidate. He promises to bring back transparency and honesty to the village government. House, a strong critic of Henyard's leadership, has gained a lot of support from residents tired of the current administration. "We need real leadership," House said at a campaign event. "Not someone who uses their position to enrich themselves and silence critics." Dolton deserves better, but Henyard's critics aren't just political. Even her landlord, Janetta Hull, has joined those demanding accountability. Hull, who once considered Henyard a friend, became one of her loudest critics after filing an eviction lawsuit against the mayor. In a recent interview, Hull shared her frustration over Henyard's refusal to pay rent and the financial problems it has caused her.
All I can tell you is that I'm not the one on anything. That's all that I can tell you right now. So I'm just trying to answer to the...
So you're saying there's a foundation that's not registered, but it has nothing to do with you?
Correct. That's true.
Okay.
That's
so you're not aware of any of the work that they've done, money that they've raised, anything along those lines?
As the scandals keep growing, Tiffany Henyard's stronghold on power is starting to slip. Her supporters are disappearing. Her opponents are gaining strength, and the investigations into her administration show no signs of stopping. Still, Henyard remains defiant. In a recent Facebook post, she called the allegations against her fake news and said her critics were jealous and wanted her to fail. "They can try to tear me down," she wrote, "but I'm not going anywhere. The people of Dolton need me." It was a bold statement, but many residents see it as empty words. They feel let down by their leader. For them, the real question isn't if Henyard will step down, it's when. With the FBI investigation and eviction lawsuit moving forward, the walls are closing in on the self-proclaimed super mayor. Whether she is removed, voted out, or forced to resign, one thing is clear. Tiffany Henyard's time at the top is running out.
Went to pick up the cake, offer to our seniors, and they told us, your card doesn't work.
And I stand in the fight because I want the boys and girls of the next generation to see what it looks like to come out of controversy and to come out of all the hatred unscathed. At the end of the day, God gives the test to his strongest soldiers.
Perhaps the most frustrating part of this whole story is how betrayed the people of Dolton feel. Many voted for Henyard because they believed in her vision. They saw her as a fresh start who could bring real change to a community that badly needed it. But instead, they got years of problems, scandals, and broken promises. As one resident said, "We trusted her and she let us down. Now we're the ones paying the price." Still, Henyard has supporters who believe she's being unfairly targeted and that her critics just want to stop her from succeeding. Whether their loyalty is right or wrong remains to be seen. With the election coming up and the scandal still unfolding, one thing is clear. The people of Dolton are watching, and they're ready to make their voices heard. Will they give Henyard another chance? Or will they decide it's time for a new chapter? Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on this unfolding story. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, so stay.